Air. Rome was released a long time ago, 2013. There's nothing new here. Why do you still cover this game? Is it some kind of sick nostalgia? I mean, come on, Air. What's your problem? Well, you may be surprised. There's new things going on in this game. Yes, despite about 10 years from release. Around 10 years. I could have the dates a little bit wrong. I want to say Shogun 2 was like 2010 or 2011, and then Rome 2 was not too much terribly far away from there. But yeah, there's new things going on. Mostly thanks to the awesome creators of the Unconquered Sun mod. Unfortunately, CA does not support the game anymore, which is not terribly surprising when a game's that old. But maybe they should be, especially when you see the cool stuff going on here. Like, so this whole Sub-Commanders mode that I've been covering for a while, which has been empowered by the Unconquered Sun mod, has added new factions, it's added new units, it's added new general abilities. It has totally changed the way that the game is played. And folks, do you get those Rome 1 nostalgias sometimes, right? You want to go back? There's units you missed, like the biblical Egyptians. Or how about head hurlers? That's right, folks. Do you remember the infernal nuisance that head hurlers were for the Britons in Rome 1? Well, they are back. That's right, head hurlers are making their debut in Rome 2, thanks to the Unconquered Sun mod. And here they are, looking as Iceni as ever. And these head hurlers carry 2 volleys of severed human heads that have a poison contact effect that is going to reduce melee attack, defense, and damage. So it's going to be pretty interesting. They are kind of like a light sword unit that provides a little bit of support in the sense that they can debuff the enemy with a precursor missile, which happens to be the severed heads of their enemies. So folks, we're going to get to catch these in action. Yes, this is going to be the Iceni and Pontus and Numidians, and they are going up against, I said Numidia, I think it's probably Misazli, but I just call them the Numidians. And then we're going to have the Servile Rebellion, Kush, and the Odrysian Kingdom. So let's go ahead and take a look at this side first, since we're over here. So the red team is going to be using the Servile Rebellion as player 2, which is going to be their missiles and their skirmishers. They are using some Rebel Militia, which is actually a cheap pike unit. Those are intermixed with some Rebel Spears, and with the Servile Rebellion, it's kind of all about, like, large numbers of really trashy units, but I mean, it's huge numbers. So, like, Slingers are 120, the Spearmen are 150, so huge numbers. But they get backed up and buffed by the more elite units in the Servile Rebellion, like these Rebel Elite Skirmishers, which is like a Slinger unit that's also really good in melee, and then same thing with these Rebel Marksmen and other units. So, cool stuff seeing the Rebels here, always a fun faction, and then the Kush are going to roll with the melee infantry. Makes a lot of sense. Kush are quite good at melee infantry. They got some slave infantry mixed with Kushite pikes, and Shotel warriors in a second line, a Royal Kushite archer general, and a slave infantry in the back there. And then we've got the Thracian Royal Cavalry. Looks like 2 of those, and I'm assuming, yep, Thracian Cavalry out here on the flanks. And then there could be some more, Thracian horsemen. There's probably one more hidden right there next to that at least. But let's go look at the home team here. Pontus is rocking the spears and missiles. Not a bad choice. Eastern Slingers, and what else here for Pontus? Yeah, it looks like just Eastern Slingers up front for now. They're covered by Eastern Spearmen, because you don't want those Western Spearmen. The Eastern ones are so much better. And then we've got Sword Band mixed in with Pontus's Pontic Sword General, Thurios Spears, and then the rest of the Iceni. There was 2 head hurlers, a Heroic Noble General, and 1 more on the other flank. Sword Band up front, and then there's a Druidic Noble for some morale support. And then the cavalry from the Numidians here. This is going to be Armored Numidian Riders. Looks like 3 of those, and then I can see a couple of Armored Numidian Cavalry, which are really nice variants of the original Numidian Cavalry that we saw with Carthage. But yeah, so the skirmish is underway. I would imagine the rebels, with their sheer numbers here, could potentially do well, but Pontus does have some backup. They have some Eastern Javelin men. Those won't be long-range skirmishers, but certainly capable of dishing out some damage in the right scenario. And we're going to get a good skirmish going on here. This Rebel Elite Skirmisher is such a cool unit. I had really good success with this unit when I used the Servile Rebellion not long ago. So it's cool to see this one here. And I love all the new units and changes they bring in this mod. To me, this mod is kind of shows you, like, in my opinion, one thing that CA could do to make these games a lot more exciting for people. Every now and then when you come back and make updates to the game, leave little stuff like this. Oh look, hey, yeah, we made a few changes in the patch, and by the way, here's a new head hurler unit for you, have fun. And then just, you know, the general abilities, like you could change up the tech trees and stuff over time. Like there was so much that could have been done still in Rome 2, despite the fact that it got really long, and solid support from CA would have been neat to see even more. But anyway, we're seeing this clash open up here, and it's going to be interesting. The Kush are using combined arms here with the Rebel Militia to try and hold units up against these phalanx formations, essentially. And you'll see the Rebel Militia get their spears down there. They're not a strong unit, but again, in a combined arms, they can be kind of annoying. So remember, the Rebels are kind of going for that whole numbers game there. But some initial charges from the Sword Band. We can actually see a Heroic Noble coming over here to help cut through these Rebel spears. That will not be too difficult. So a pretty good start in the melee here for the home team. We'll kind of see how that goes. And as far as skirmish going, I see a lot of missiles still flying from both sides. I would think these Rebel skirmishers, though, are still capable of getting some pretty severe damage done. As far as cavalry goes, we're seeing some scrums here between the Armored Numidians and the Thracian. These Armored Numidians are very strong in melee, and Thracian cavalry is quite good, too, in a little melee scrap, but those Armored Numidians are very good at it. So that's going to be something that they're going to be well suited to. Look at this, some of those Rebel Militia getting pushed out of the way. Those Eastern Slingers kind of got caught here. And it looks like that Kush is kind of holding its second line of infantry, kind of letting things wear in a little bit here. That's probably not a bad call. And we're going to get some support here from these Thracian horsemen. It looks like they are gunning for the sword bands. It was trying to maneuver around the flank. So check it out here. I didn't catch this in action, so I'll have to catch it in a moment. But you can see that the head hurler contact effect is in play here. And it's definitely having an impact. So look at that Rebel Veteran Spear all the way down to only 18 melee attack. And its defense was reduced to 42. Its speed was reduced to 3. So that contact effect is pretty significant. I didn't catch the heads in the air, but look right here. You can actually see a few. So yes, this is severed heads flying through the air and on into the enemy formation. So in case you were wondering, yes, they actually do throw a modeled severed head here. You can see them. Obviously not huge detail on the severed heads, but let's slow-mo that as the heads go crashing into the bonus over here. You can imagine trying to fight a battle and then suddenly being smacked with a severed head and seeing that rolling around at your feet. That has to be quite unnerving. Like, quite unnerving. I don't know how long that contact effect lasts for, but it looks like a pretty good while, because this one over here is just now wearing off. So it could certainly make a big difference if thrown in the right place at the right time in order to help debuff units rather significantly. So that was pretty neat to see. I want to say that each of these only has 2 ammunition from what I saw there, which means that I believe they get 2 throws pretty much. So it's kind of a combination light sword / support unit. So I would say that it gets used probably similarly to maybe a scare effect type of unit. It's not something you want to mainline, but they can add value. See, like right here, they got another toss off, and it drops the defenses of all these units. So pretty cool to see. It does impact friendlies if you have friendlies in there as well. So something to be aware of. But certainly a cool effect there. Really neat new unit. Again, just little things like this, in my opinion, can help make a game fresh and new, especially if they keep coming all the time. So I'm hoping that this is the kind of stuff that maybe we can encourage Creative Assembly to look at going forward with Total War. Support the games for a long time. Keep making changes. Keep doing improvements, even if it's just little things here and there. You know, build up all that goodwill. Build up the fun. Keep adding to the game. But wow, this is a pretty awesome battle going so far. It's still pretty tight in the balance of power. Let's kind of check out some of those elite melee infantry. We had some Shotel warriors, and I'm trying to get a feel along the line. We still have a heroic noble general. There's still Eastern spears here, sword band. It looks like the melee is going well for the home team. There was a skirmish advantage for the other team, and I think a melee cavalry advantage because of these two Thracian Royal Cavalry. The Thracian Royals are just kind of sitting back here, awaiting their moment, and that could turn out to be a big deal. These Shotel warriors are inactive at the moment. They're going to need to continue to chase the enemy over here. At least I'm pretty sure they will. There they go. Yeah, so they were just only inactive there for a moment. Looks like one of the Thracian Royal Cavalry activating here. There is an incoming armored Numidian rider, but their charge was actually directed at the Thracian Cavalry, which gave those armored Numidian riders a pretty clean charge. I don't think that they'll do amazing, though, against Thracian Royal Cav. I want to say that those are shot cavalry, but I could be wrong. We'll see here. If the Thracian Royals can protect these rebel marksmen, some of these other units, and let them try and do some excess damage while maybe just cycling a charge here and there, so like right here they're going to use their Relentless, which increases attack. They're cycling, but look at those rebel marksmen just dumping death into there. And look, there was another contact effect from that head hurler. So they're making their presence felt. We'll see the Thracian Royal Cavalry over here definitely winning, because it also had to beat down some other cavalry. So this one's swinging into favor of the home team, though. I think numbers are starting to play a big role here. There's a lot of numbers left, and these Thracian Royal Cavalry have a lot to do. Look at that, the armored Numidian riders getting into those rebel marksmen. That was a good play, because then that's going to buy time for this infantry to catch up. So that was very nice play. The Royal Archers are trying to put some support fire into here, but this is an example of one of those situations where you go skirmish heavy, and it ends up just being too much to try and protect all the skirmishers. But I mean, trust me, I have seen this go the opposite direction numerous times too, where someone comes skirmish heavy and they just annihilate your infantry in moments. And so it can certainly go both ways. This is not necessarily a foregone conclusion when someone has more melee that they end up winning. But in this case, it is definitely going to be true. The rush was effective. The extra skirmish was not able to make the difference. And again, that happens sometimes. This Thracian Royal Cavalry came into the fight pretty late, but understandably so. You know, maybe one could argue if they were doing support earlier, maybe it helps more. But then again, you know, the more they come in early, there's a lot of risk there too. A lot of units still have their javelins. There's usually a lot more skirmish units. It can be a very tricky position. But good game to both teams. This was more so not necessarily meant to be an intensely close battle, but to also show you this new unit. I appreciate Sol Invictus sending this over and showing that, and I appreciate the makers of the mod. So they do fantastic work with this. I know Howitzer, I believe, is one of the makers, is this name on YouTube, but I forget the names because it's different between Discord and stuff, but I love the work they do on this mod. I have it linked in the description, and I highly recommend you go join up with them over at the Gathering Stone Discord, which is also linked in the description, and go play some games with them. I'm telling you, you're going to have fun. Like, it is a good time. These are nice folks. I've played battles with them a few times, and it is so much fun every time we do it. We had Hotel Soap here too, so this was a star-studded game indeed. Vortigant Sauce, Alexander, Hannibal's Heir, and Ninja Keeper, all some great players here. Soul bringing in those head hurlers. They did a good job. So it's some pretty neat units. I like the unit card there too, kind of that artistic holding the head by its hair. I mean, this is a pretty effective melee performance here from the Iceni, who were already, you know, I think a pretty solid choice for a melee line. I've used them in that regard sometimes in these battles. Pontus did a good job on the support role here as player 2. And then the Numidians are the Masazeli, you know, I keep calling them Numidians, but the Numidians are excellent in this role as well. They may not be the best out there, but they definitely have some solid offerings and put up a good performance here. The Odrysians, I love their cavalry pick. The Odrysians are also an interesting pick for cavalry, one that probably doesn't come to mind first of mind, but they are good. And Hannibal's Heir here bringing Kush. Kush, of course, an excellent faction for that melee role. And then Ninja Keeper here rolling in with the Servile Rebellion. And holy crap, the Servile Rebellion's fun. I got to play them for the first time a while back and absolutely loved it. So again, make sure you all get a chance to go join them. Thank you to the players. Thank you to the makers of the mod. Thanks to Soul for sending this one over. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you soon with some more action in Total War Rome 2.